One prank, one pissed-off cop, and a safe full of green paint. What started as a joke turned into a courtroom disaster. Curious how one stupid idea spiraled completely out of control. Let me set the scene for you. It's a quiet night, just me, my red SUV, and the sound of tires humming against the empty road. I'm cruising along, minding my own business, with a shiny, heavy safe strapped to the back seat. Yeah, a safe. Don't ask why just yet, it's part of the magic. My name's Ben. I'm 24, and if life were fair, this drive would have ended with me kicking back on my couch, laughing about the stupid stunt I just pulled. But life had other plans. Out of nowhere, I hear it, the sharp wail of a siren. You know that moment when your heart drops and you're like, please God, let it not be me? Yeah, that. I glance in the rearview mirror, and there it is, flashing red and blue lights, closing in like a damn heat-seeking missile. Shit, I mutter in it under my breath, easing off the gas. I consider for a split second whether I could pull off a casual, totally not suspicious right turn into a side street. But before I can act, the cop car closes in, cutting me off and forcing me to the curb. Game over. The officer steps out, and let me tell you, this guy is huge. Broad shoulders, perfectly pressed uniform, the whole don't mess with me vibe. He walks up to my window with the slow, deliberate pace of someone who knows he owns the room, or in this case, the street. License and registration, he says. His voice calm, but firm, like he's rehearsed this line 1,000 times. His badge reads Officer M. Harper, and something about him screams that he doesn't take jokes lightly. I reach for the glove compartment, trying to play it cool. Sure thing, officer. Did I win a contest or something? Best driver of the night, maybe? He doesn't laugh. Not even a smirk. Tough crowd. As I hand over my papers, his gaze shifts past me, locking onto the safe in the back seat. His brow furrows. What's in the safe? He asks, his tone sharp enough to slice through my bravado. Just some personal stuff, I reply with a casual shrug. You know, gold bars, pirate treasure, maybe a cursed artifact or two. Nothing. No reaction. This guy is a stone wall. Step out of the vehicle, he commands, taking a step back to let me open the door. My stomach drops. Seriously? I protest, trying to muster some indignation. It's just a safe. Out. Now, he repeats, and this time there's no room for negotiation. I climb out, my boots crunching against the gravel. Harper circles the car, his flashlight illuminating every inch of the SUV like it's a crime scene. He stops at the back door, eyeing the safe like it might explode. Open it, he says. I freeze. Come on, man, it's just a prank, I blurt out, but the words sound weakened even to me. Harper doesn't budge. I said open it, he growls, his patience clearly wearing thin. Look, you're not going to like what's in there, I warn, holding up my hands in mock surrender. I'll decide that, he snaps. At this point, I know there's no talking my way out of this. Harper reaches for the safe, his flashlight tucked under one arm. The beam catches the metal, making it glint ominously in the dark. My heart is pounding, and I can't tell if it's fear or the thrill of what's about to happen. And just like that, the tension skyrockets. The air outside felt heavy, like the universe knew some real chaos was about to go down. Harper stood next to the safe, his flashlight casting shadows that danced like they were mocking me. His whole vibe screamed, "Don't test me." But here I was, a guy with a prank that had gone way past funny. You want me to open it? I asked, raising an eyebrow and forcing a smirk that didn't quite reach my eyes. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. Harper didn't flinch. Open it, he repeated, his tone as cold as a freezer door. Behind him, another cop car pulled up. And out stepped Officer Johnson, a wiry guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He glanced at me, then at the safe, and muttered, "What the hell is this?" "Suspicious vehicle," Harper said, not taking his eyes off me. "And this guy thinks he's a comedian." "Hey, I'm just trying to make your night interesting," I shot back, raising my hands in mock surrender. "What's life without a little fun? Get on with it," Harper snapped, his patience clearly running thin. I reached for the safe, my fingers fumbling with the latch. My heart was racing so loud I was sure they could hear it. Inside my head I was screaming, "Ben, you idiot! Why didn't you just leave this thing at home?" But there was no turning back now. As the latch clicked open, Harper and Johnson stepped back slightly, like they were preparing for the worst. Honestly, they weren't wrong. "All right, gentlemen," I said, putting on my best game show host voice. "Let's see what's behind door number 1. With one swift motion, I swung the safe door open. And bam! It was like a paint grenade went off. Bright green paint exploded out of the safe, spraying everywhere. Harper took the brunt of it. His face, his uniform, even his pristine boots were drenched in neon green. Johnson, who'd been standing just far enough away, got a few splatters on his pants and let out a string of curses. For a split second, the world froze. Harper stood there, dripping in paint, his face a mask of disbelief. And me? I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. "Oh my God," I wheezed, doubling over. Oh man, you actually opened it. That was priceless." Harper, however, didn't share my sense of humor. His jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. Slowly, he wiped his face with his hand, which only made things worse as the paint smeared everywhere. "You think this is funny?" he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Dude, come on," I managed between laughs. "It's just paint. Lighten up." Harper stepped toward me, and suddenly laughing didn't seem like such a good idea. "You think wasting police resources is a joke? You think pulling a stunt like this is harmless?" Kinda," I said, shrugging, though my confidence was starting to waver. Harper wasn't just mad. He was done. Johnson, who'd been trying to scrape the paint off his pants, looked up and shook his head. "This kid's an idiot," he muttered. "What the hell were you thinking?" "Look," I said, holding up my hands. "It's a prank. No harm, no foul, right?" Harper took a deep breath, the kind that says someone's trying real hard not to lose their shit. "Wrong," he said finally. "You're under arrest." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Wait, what?" I stammered. "For what? Getting you a free paint job?" "Disorderly conduct," Harper snapped, grabbing his cuffs. "Obstruction of justice, wasting police resources, take your pick." Whoa, I started, but before I could finish, the cold steel of handcuffs clicked around my wrists, and just like that, my night had gone from hilarious to horrifying. Sitting cuffed in the back of the squad car, I was hit with the reality of how badly this night had gone off the rails. Harper, still drenched in neon green paint, didn't say much, but his clenched jaw and death stare in the rearview told me everything I needed to know. Beside him, Johnson muttered, "What kind of idiot drives around with a rigged safe, huh?" At the station, Harper paraded me through the fluorescent-lit halls like a trophy of stupidity. "Disorderly conduct, obstruction, and assaulting an officer," he announced to the desk sergeant. "Assault? Come on," I protested, but Harper's glare shut me up quick. They tossed me into a gray holding cell that reeked of disinfectant and bad decisions. I tried to sleep, but my brain wouldn't quit replaying every dumb choice that got me here. When the guard finally granted me my one call, I dialed Jake, my best friend and occasional accomplice. "Jake, it's me. I'm in jail," I blurted. His groggy response, "Dude, you've outdone yourself. I'll figure it out." Hours later, he showed up to bail me out, his face a mix of concern and exasperation. "A paint bomb? On a cop? What were you thinking?" he hissed as we left. The next week was a blur of lawyer meetings, courtroom anxiety, and parental disappointment. "You didn't think," my dad snapped when I tried to explain. At my hearing, the judge delivered the verdict, 14 days in county jail and community service. As they led me away, I caught Harper watching from the back of the courtroom. No anger, just a quiet, stern reminder of how one prank spiraled into a disaster I'd be paying for. Sitting in that courtroom, the weight of my actions hit me like a ton of bricks. The judge's voice cut through my thoughts as he laid down my sentence. 14 days in county jail and 100 hours of community service. It wasn't the end of the world, but it sure felt like it at the time. As the gavel hit, I stole a glance at Harper sitting in the back of the room. He wasn't gloating, but his expression said it all. Actions have consequences. The first night in county was a reality check I didn't ask for. The cells were cold, the food was worse than microwave dinners gone wrong, and the other inmates weren't exactly welcoming. My bunkmate, a burly guy with too many tattoos to count, sized me up the moment I walked in. "What's your story, newbie?" He grunted. Bad prank on the wrong cop," I muttered. He barked out a laugh. "You? A prank? Man, you're in for a long 2 weeks." Those 2 weeks dragged, every day a mix of boredom, regret, and the occasional sketchy interaction. The worst part wasn't even the jail time. It was the endless loop of my dad's disappointed face in my head and my mom's teary, "Why, Ben? Why would you do this?" When I got out, Jake was waiting, leaning on his car with that "I told you so" look plastered across his face. "So," he said, arms crossed, "what did we learn?" I rolled my eyes. "Don't prank a cop, ever." "Good start," he replied with a smirk, tossing me a bottle of water. The next month was spent juggling community service, awkward family dinners, and figuring out how to dig myself out of this hole. Cleaning up graffiti and picking up trash wasn't glamorous, but every hour served as a reminder that I'd crossed a line. One day, while I was scrubbing a sidewalk, a patrol car pulled up. Harper stepped out, looking just as intimidating as he did the night he arrested me. For a second, I thought he was about to chew me out again, but instead he said, "How's the paint cleaning business treating you?" "Better than jail," I replied, bracing for sarcasm. But to my surprise, he just nodded and said, "Good. Don't let me see you back there." As he drove off, I realized that while Harper wasn't about to forgive and forget, he didn't hate me either. Maybe that was the real lesson here, owning your screw-ups and moving forward, one painful, paint-covered step at a time.